What up? What up?
What's happening, man? How are you this evening?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. Welcome, everybody to Religiously
Hey, young world.
Podcast. I want to see you in the room, in the building. Come in, say hello, leave your comments. It's been 2 weeks, Pastor Jeff.
Man, we've been vacationing.
You've been vacationing. I had to do a workcation with 14-hour drives on both sides of it.
Man, the devil.
And do a wedding in a 95-degree heat.
The devil.
In the world's hottest robe. But it was a beautiful robe.
It was a beautiful wedding altogether.
Beautiful wedding, man. Shout out to our friends, our wonderful, lovely couple, the Browns, and the beautiful daughter Jasmine, and their marriage. And Tony's dead broke now. You know, he's dead.
Whitmore the 3rd, 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Listen, I think I married like 6 different people in one ceremony. I'm not sure if it's legal.
Let me tell y'all, whoever is out there, if you're ever following Pastor Todd, these are his directions he's going to give to you. Take 71 to 76, 69 to 89, down 12, 20, and then we'll be right there as soon as you get there. That's it. Hey.
It's the George Johnson in me. It's the George Johnson. And if you can't keep up, you might as well just don't get on the road with me. You know, I mean, you have to sign like liability insurance just to follow me. The way it is. Rashad, good to see you. I want to see you guys tune in, tap back. I always love the comments, the shares. If you're watching us, we appreciate you as our loyal audience. We really are grateful. I know I speak for Pastor Jeff and I that you guys have been on this journey with us. So we want to see them names go up. And I'm glad Marlon jumped in because I just want to say, go Steelers right quick. Just want to say that, we pulled the W out with 2-0. I will give props to the Browns. I'm not a hater. I'm a lover, not a fighter. Browns, we're looking awfully good Thursday night. They look good Thursday night, and I think week 5.
Their offense definitely looks good. We got some starters out on defense, so I think that's going to help us out. But I mean, you get somebody like Brady, who will light you up through the air, we gonna be in trouble. You know what I mean? For right now,
secondary leaves something to be desired. Big Mike said he's a hater. It's okay, man. I feel that pushing 40 at this point, I don't have that much energy to root against other people as much as I want to root for who I'm for. It's a life philosophy. I am not going to spend my life talking about what I'm against so much as I will what I'm for. But
I'm gonna be honest, man. I'm gonna be completely honest, dude. I don't know how Big Ben does it.
He's a cyborg. He's a cyborg. He's like, he had one of them RoboCop surgeries.
I mean, I'm like, seriously, dude. I mean, he got to be 57.
Yeah. He's official church mother age.
Big Ben's the church mother.
Big Ben is about to be Mother Roethlisberger in somebody's church. But you know what? I'm afraid he's gonna have flashes of brilliance, but it's gonna be like a Joe Theismann situation. It's gonna be one of them. Man, you take that last big hit, man, and it could be all over. And I hate it to see, because I grew up in the era of watching greats become lates.
Yeah.
Dan Marino. I mean, I watched him on his last legs. This cat had more pads than body. You know what I'm saying? This cat had
what was the quarterback for the Chicago Bears who used to wear the headband around his neck?
Oh yeah. I forget his name. McMahon. Yeah. So I don't want Ben to go out like that. If they make a good run, I want them to let it go. Honestly,
it will be good.
I want them to let it go. Yeah. So that brings us to our opening little segment, Pastor Jeff. What do you think is more of a challenge, or more basically, what's worse? An empty football stadium or an empty sanctuary?
Wow.
What do you think is worse to perform in? What do you think and I hate to use the word perform, but you all know what we mean. Because these guys, man, they're used to the hype. They're used to the
chairs.
They said that you don't have home field advantage anymore. Seattle's playing tonight. The 12th man is like half their team.
Right.
You know, the 12th man is like half their team. So what do you think's worse? Because we have the same problem. We've talked about it.
Well, I mean, I think I don't know how you see these cameras, and from us watching it on TV, it looks good. It looks like you got people. I wish I could put some cameras out in the audience, a million screens, and people could just be watching. And I'm wondering, I mean, are those live people? Are they actually watching the game? Are those?
I don't think so. I think they submitted videos of themselves cheering, and like they had to probably submit like 45 seconds of themselves, doing stuff. Mike just stole my line what he was about to say. I am, and I've seen it to varying degrees. I am impressed with the crowd noise.
Yes.
Some were pretty weak. Some were pretty weak. You could tell some stadiums. Listen, I can't remember which team I was watching, but the one team I was watching, I had watched a really good game. It was live. It was on point. There were boos on bad calls, everything. And the next game I watched, it was like a church sound man was running it. It was like it was late. It was cheering at the wrong time. It was all low. And here's what I don't like, though, Jeff, which is another parallel to church. I don't like that you can hear the field so much and just like random talking like it's an empty building. Because I don't want to hear all that. I mean, I don't want to hear every holler, every yell. But I do think maybe we should adopt pumping some crowd noise into our churches.
Pumping some in?
You pump some crowd noise into your church service?
Well, right now I go for bringing my musicians back. that might help me out a little bit. I mean, crowd noise.
Bishop Rudolph McKissick did have a screen set up in his church and it was a giant screen in the back where he had that type of setup where he could see them on Zoom and hear them. And he had the congregation plugged into his sound system. And I'm sure it was at appropriate levels and all where they could hear the amens. And of course, I guess you have to assume most of the people were disciplined enough to, be in the quiet room, no screaming babies in the background. I guess they really were perhaps handpicked people who were participating, but it had to be encouraging to be able to see their faces while he's preaching live Zoom. Yeah. And if I could figure out a way to do that, I would do that.
Oh, definitely. I would definitely do that. That sounds like a great. I'm gonna have to watch that.
Yeah. He has a video on his Facebook page of him trying it out, and this has to be like 2-3 weeks old, man. I mean, I think before we went out of town. But I do the screen, and sometimes I just bunk the screen and just open up an iPad on the pulpit, and I can see the names on our live, and I mute it. And that's very encouraging. And I've been telling our people that if I can't see your faces in the house, I at least want to see your names.
Right.
That would help. But overall, man, I mean, I think for me, it's almost comforting to see some other, for lack of a better term, industry deal with the same struggles and adjustments, because up to that point, nothing had truly mimicked what we've been dealing with except for sport.
Right. And I think it's everywhere. I mean, I haven't, besides restaurants, because restaurants are pretty much back to normal, pretty much back to their regular crowds and things of that nature. But, even tonight, after I left church, I went to Planet Fitness, and that was always completely packed and, out there now. And, I mean, there was literally nobody in there.
Yeah.
So I think more than just us is dealing with it, but I think we're dealing with it on a whole nother level, because I mean, that crowd and that feedback, you really do vibe off of that stuff as a pastor.
Absolutely. And that's what I meant. Sports is probably the only place where, I mean, even musicians in these award shows, they perform in studios all the time. Right. They perform in front of cameras, and that's it all the time. I think church and sports are one of the few things that almost require an audience as a vital part of the interaction. So I'll be interested to see where this goes. I think a lot of them aren't going to be able to hold out any more than churches have. They're going to start letting more crowd people in. There was a definite difference between, say, Pittsburgh, even though the crowd noise was great, and Dallas, where I think they all going to have COVID, man. They had like half of Dallas in the stadium.
Well, LeBron said the other day he's tired of being in the bubble. You
Yeah,
know,
I think some people are phoning it in the NBA because they don't want to be in the bubble. I think some of them got kicked out on purpose, and that's a whole nother subject. The one dude brought a woman in. You know, wasn't there a Seahawks player that tried to sneak a girl in with like a uniform or something on?
A uniform.
Yeah, it was like a rookie. It was like a rookie. He got cut. Yeah, man, it's a lot. Well, let's get to our subject. It's called COVID in the church. Now, we have purposely taken a break from talking about COVID. First of all, because it becomes a worn out subject. Secondly, because after a while, there's only so much you can say, and you almost have to sort of wait and see, Pastor Jeff. Yeah. Like, we could only speculate at a certain point. We could only, pontificate about what might happen or how this might pan out. But we're 6 months in now. And while I do think some people have gone really far with the, everything's changing, everything's like, I mean, they act like all the churches were just going to burn down overnight and we were going to have like being trees or something, by the end of the year. It's not that, but Jeff, it's a new reality, Pastor. We're all leveling out what this looks like. Now, the mega dudes are like, we're not coming back, but they have obviously the capacity of, the streaming, very strong audiences, marketing. Right. My dude in Atlanta, Dr. E. Dewey Smith. I mean, this cat got 24-hour Hope TV going on down there. They have like workout. They doing Pilates, yoga, marriage counseling, cooking shows, and then some church. Now, we all can't do that, but we're all dealing with the changes. Thank you, Sister Janet. Sister Janet Whitby from Second Baptist being with us. Please share, comment, like. But now there are a few actual areas where we probably need to talk about what this new reality is. And I'll start with the first one that is the most obvious: attendance. Will we ever see attendance, and what should our expectations of attendance be?
Well, I mean, I don't know if, once again, it's a subject matter that we don't know. We can't speculate, but we hope to see at least what we can do for right now in our social distancing bylaws and regulations. We at least like to see all that filled up. If we can get that, we'd be doing well.
Up to the limit, you mean? Up to the limit that we are allowed.
That we're allowed. That would be great. But I think when it comes to, because there's a different expectation even in evangelism, it's a different expectation. And how do you even ask somebody, are you, can you come to my church, or will you come to my church, or our church is opening back up, we'd love to see you there. You know what I mean? You want to, because you want to see more people there.
Is it really hard though? I mean,
I'm not saying it's hard. What I'm saying is,
it's really uncouth. Is it really a risk or inappropriate in any fashion when the department stores, restaurants, car dealerships, bars, malls are continuing to say, come on in. We have social distancing standards. Come on in. We have rearranged things for you. So, to me, I look at evangelism as an invitation, and there's nothing wrong with inviting, the way I look at it, because we've made all the preparations probably, and then some, as any other industry or organization has made.
Well, let me ask you this. I mean, I'm probably gonna go real deep here, and I'm not trying to offend anybody.
Let's go with it. I'm not usually offending,
but let's talk. Gyms open. Every gym opened.
Every gym is open.
Car dealerships open. Schools open, and schools open with the fact that you could come or you can stay home. Things of that nature. Why can't the churches say, let's all open or let's all stay closed?
I'm gonna be honest. I think that, number one, the heart of a shepherd is different than the heart of a supervisor.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the heart of a salesman, and the heart of a corporate, CEO. The heart of a shepherd is the concern for the well-being of the people who are under our charge. And the funny thing is, as much as our culture and the generations have shifted in the perspective of pastor, we have not neglected, for the most part, the fact that we really do care and feel responsible for the people. And it's funny because people have tried to flip that, oh, it's a control thing, or ain't nobody under you. And we still think, well, whether you would consider yourself under us or not, I'm still going to have a concern.
Absolutely.
At the same time, I think, and this is where I'll be offensive, I believe that competition has slipped into the COVID era of churches.
Right.
The same competition, the same spirit of wanting to portray oneself as safer, wiser, more prepared, more concerned than the next is no different than, and it's real. We got to be honest, as pastors, we want to preach our best sermon. We want to feel like we are presenting the best truth. Not to say that no one else has truth, but it's human nature, and that might be disconcerting. And I'm sure pastors will jump on here. By the way, hey, Pastor Bowie, my fellow Steeler Nation, good to see you. I just had to call him out. If he was a Browns fan, I wouldn't have shouted him out if he was a Browns fan. But we don't like to talk like this, Jeff. But competition permeates every segment of society, including our spirituality. And I do think there's a little bit of, let me stake out my position and see how it tracks with the public and with my congregation. And that's why we're not all closing and we're not all opening.
Well, see, but I think, and that becomes the issue when it comes to evangelism. And I don't think it should, but because when you ask somebody and they'll say, well, this pastor said this. Well, because, you have some pastors saying, we ain't going back until such and such. And because we care about, that doesn't mean we don't.
Exactly.
It does not mean we don't. If your church has 500 members and my church has 50 members, there's a difference. There's
a different dynamic
coming back. There's a huge dynamic. But even though I may see it and you may see it, those who attend may not see it.
No, not at all. And even like, for instance, a lot of us who are more mid-sized to small size, we've done things like parking lot services. I've done the multiple services. My goal, my stated public goal, is that the average crowds we were getting in one service pre-COVID, I'd like to see spread out over the 3 services I have in this current situation. And so for us, it could be anywhere from 150 to 200. That's just being honest. A lot of people don't put their honest numbers out there. Those are my numbers. And if we spread that out and I have about 60 a service, if I have about 60 a service spread out in a church that seats about 600, 650, I'm fine with that. And I will preach just as hard as I have been. And I'll just pat myself on the back right quick, because I will hoop and holler at a camera screen all day long.
Yes, sir.
And Pastor Hurd, thank you for joining us, Pastor Hurd, Elder Hurd. We thank you. He has done an excellent job with outdoor service. Pastor Bowie has been outdoors some. He's been gone inside a little bit. Everybody's context is different. I think about our mega brothers. They can't even do parking lot service.
Right.
My spiritual father, Bishop Clark, he's done a parking lot service. I mean, he pulled out the full Too Deep Gospel Fest stage. That's a lot different than the rest of us taking a podium and a mic outside and a drum set and a keyboard. That's a lot different. So think about a Jake's. Think about an E. Dewey Smith. Think about a Word Church. They're not. They can't even that's a lot to manage. So, but my thing is, if we're open, if we've made preparation, and I know the singing thing is a debate, I get that, and I feel that no matter what the circumstance is, we need to be understanding that people have different convictions, beliefs, but they also should be understanding that what you just said, there are things that are open. And I know a big joke, ado has been made about singing and preaching and talking, all of that. But let's be honest, man. We were just at a restaurant. Let's just be honest. We were just at a restaurant. People are singing, walking, chomping, spittle, food everywhere. At the gym, sweat everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Folk are dirty and nasty at grocery stores. So what I'm saying is, I'm not going to be ashamed if I have made the preparation of making the invitation.
Well, I mean, we are currently going to reopen in 2 weeks, and I am right now sending out letters to the congregation. I am going to start, building it up as much as I can on Facebook. I mean, and like I said, all we can do is make the preparations, make sure that the people know that as a pastor, my heart is to make sure that everybody is as safe as possible, and that we're going to take every precaution. We're buying masks so that when they come in, they can get the mask. We're making sure that the roped off and all of that, and so in this COVID era, it's going to be different. It's going to be different.
It is a new reality, and we have to acknowledge it. I like what's my dude's name? I follow him all the time. I'm ashamed that I can't think of his name, but he said, "I refuse to call this the new normal. It's just the new weird."
Yeah.
I refuse to call it the new normal. This is not normal. This is not what I would consider normal, and I have to agree with that. How about actual membership? You know what? I'm blessed the last few weeks, including this week, praise God, we started taking in members again, because obviously, in times like these, your faithful few, your core faithful are the ones who are coming. Members are probably going to come to your church the most. And we've seen some people saying, I'm joining or I'm ready to join. And so whether they're current members that have been around forever, and by the way, a lot of our churches, we do have standards, and Lord help us if we have to have a conversation about membership standards again, but that changed. How do you, most of our bylaws and constitutions expect, attendance, giving, participation in a ministry, what do you consider backslidden or inactive or whatever it is your denomination calls it? I mean, how does that change? How do you hold people accountable? Is it if you go 30 days without me seeing your name on my live, I'm going to send you an inbox?
we definitely have to revisit it, man. We definitely, just taking in members, over there, and people inboxing or saying, I want to become a part of the church. And this brings back to what we said before of how people said, when you start back up, I'm going to really show up. I'm going to show up.
I'll be there, Doc.
Nah, Doc. But if you don't, you know what I mean? And, we send out, after our live sermons, we do invitations, and we pray. And if you want to accept Jesus, and then there are many who may do it watching but never call us.
Now I'm gonna tell them to get up and walk down the hallway. And they
get up and walk out to your garage. And come down
to the church. I have them wave their hand or raise their hand in their seat. And I've directed people on our Facebook page. We set up a simple I'm not a Facebook page, but you could use it just to post a link. On our webpage, we have a simple Google form that if you desire to join the family, you input. It's the same information our church clerk would have taken.
Okay.
That she received you into the church to get your information going. So that's our process now. I am scheduled, and we are scheduled to start a Zoom new members class and do it via Zoom. And that's how we're going to take that. But back to my original question. Some of our churches, I'm not sure if you guys, my deacons still go to some of the elderly and pick up tithes, or used to,
Absolutely.
Okay, so are we sending them Cash App links? Are we saying, I haven't, it's been a while since we got a few dollars from you. Here's our PayPal. And I'm talking to folk, the homebound. I'm not talking to the online Facebook. How do you interact? How do you expect? Can anybody be removed from roles at this point?
I think at this point you shouldn't. I don't think it would be wise.
It's like the Secretary of State, like we're not taking no voters off the roll before November.
At least now. When
does it end? When does it end?
Well, let's hope all this ends. Let's hope we can get back to normal. But I would be cautious of because honestly, I would take half the church off. Not because they haven't. They just haven't been there, and we really don't have a huge, and I just started at the church I'm at.
Yeah.
So we don't have a huge online base right now.
Right.
We don't have a huge online base, and they're starting to get there. They're starting to get there. Today was a good day as far as online service went for us. But and so a lot of times I like to put it on my page instead of Progressive page, because my people know me. But so I personally, as a pastor of Progressive, wouldn't take anybody off as of right now. Now, if my clerk came up to me and said, Mother so-and-so hasn't given in 4 months when, you know, usually, or brother so-and-so just stopped giving to the church altogether, you know. But I do my monthly calls and checks. So it ain't like I would just be calling and say, hey, you know, what's up with your money? You know what I mean?
Where's my money, man? Where's my money?
You're going to get to say, hey, how's it going? How's everything? Hey, by the way.
Yeah. I refuse to make those calls, to be honest. I mean, I do some wellness checks and some calls. I task our deacons with checking up, which brings us to another subject. What does connection look like in the COVID reality? Because you cannot replace in-person interaction. I'm talking just seeing a smiling face on the way out of the church.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you can see people and know that they're not doing great. You can see people and know that there's an obvious blessing, or you know, a moment of favor they've encountered, and you ready to rejoice with them. Good news. And I mean, typing in the comments is great. Sending an inbox, you know, our members group, we do test, you know, people might testify or talk about what's going on in their lives, but it's a lot different than looking at somebody and saying that brother went through a surgery and here they are in the church, you know, God brought them through.
Right.
Or even visits, our deacons, you know, that we have not been visiting in person in the same fashion. I mean, I've pulled in a few driveways and just waved. Pastor Bowie said there's a lot of depression. That is very true. And by the way, and here's the transparent moment, we're enduring that too. And it's not because we are weak, egotistical, arrogant. We lost our crowd in the hoopla, even though there is a element to the atmosphere that has always been a part of our reality. It hurts to miss people that you know and love and not be able to check on them and see them. To worry about what might be detrimental to the church. And I'm not talking money and finances. I'm just talking the health. How about, Jeff, members who have taken this opportunity to fully and completely detach from the church? They weren't really with you.
Right.
And this is a very easy out.
Absolutely. And I've said that from the beginning. There are going to be a lot of people who are going to be, for a lack of better word, switching teams. You know, people are scoping even through these online services. People are finding out where they want to be. And I mean, I've never had, well, I can say it's not that I don't have a problem with it, but if you feel that this place is going to be better for you, amen, God bless you, I love you. You know, I'm not begging anybody to stay. But when you talk about interaction and trying to, you know, I know you said you don't do it, but I try to do my monthly phone calls, and I know I'm starting a newsletter that's going to go out with just a little pastor's corner, and you know, I'm going to do it on the 1st of every month, and it's just going to be something that's sent out to the members just to, you know, try to keep them connected, because whether we know it or not, the longer you stay away, the longer you want to stay away, and that's from anything. You don't work out for 3 weeks. That 4th week, you can say you're gonna work out all you want. You ain't going to the gym. You know what I mean? It just happens. People become disconnected, and they just drift away, out of sight, out of mind. It is what it is. You know what I mean? You find something different to do on Sundays besides church.
Yeah, times have changed, but when I was coming up in school at the turn of the century, which sounds so crazy, and going into college in the early part of the millennium, now they talk about taking semesters off, take a mental break, and that they would encourage us not to stop going to school at all costs. Yeah. They would say, do not stop. I don't know what these little snowflakes are doing now. Talking about college is too hard, but they would say, you know, if you break up that routine, and let's just be honest, like you said, the gym, college, even work, people get used to not working.
Absolutely.
Spiritual disciplines and fellowship, and what we've known to be the norms of the church, COVID or not, have always been one of those things that you don't want to get away from if it is your intention to stay committed and strong as a part of the body. Both me and you preached on Ephesians 4 this week, because that's just what brothers do. We be on the same wavelength. And we still champion the idea that there is a strength and a benefit to togetherness and fellowship. And that's why I even say, about show your face even on our lives. And I said this, and I didn't want to sound too thirsty or too needy or even too demanding or pushy or fussy on Wednesday night. But I said, Pastor Jeff, out of all the things us preachers, and I know Pastor Hurd and Pastor Bowie can relate to this, out of all the things that us preachers have asked our members to do over the years, I mean, stand up, sit down, touch your neighbor, slap your neighbor, do this, run around, give this money, support this. At this point, we are basically asking our members to do the bare minimum. And I said this Wednesday night, I'm literally asking you to click a share button.
Right.
Like click a share button, which is really difficult for me to fathom the people who listen and still don't do it. And I understand maybe there's people who are like, hey, I'm scared of technology. Pastor, you got to be glad I'm even on here watching you.
Right.
I'm afraid of what might happen to my phone. Because some folks, I mean, they really do. They can make a mess of anything. They didn't got hacked so many times. They got 9 Facebook pages. So I have some sympathy.
Right.
But sometimes I think to myself, I'm literally just, because you're sending your tithes in, you probably are, you know, or something, some support, and you jump on. How minimum has been the ask for us as pastors?
I mean, I think that's very.
Tune in. Most of you just once. Me, of course, 3 times, but only once. And even if you were in person, I would only ask you to come to one service anyway. But tune in live, like you would have gotten up and gotten dressed 45 minutes, an hour before church. So tune in from your couch where I can't see you and you're still in the bed. Let me see your name. Give something some kind of way. And I mean this. I'm being very serious. Hit the like button and the share button. Literally take your finger and go boop. And to be honest, out of my 200 some members who are on Facebook, you know, 10, 12, you know, and they don't understand. Here's another thing, Jeff. This goes into vision casting and shepherding. As leaders, we often really do know what will work and be successful in helping our ministries to survive and thrive. And that's why we say things like share and like and comment and tag, because that's no different than invite and pass out this. And it's the new thing. And the funniest thing is it's an easier thing. This is easier than let's go door to door. This is easier than let's go in the parking lot.
It's the same thing as, I mean, and very honestly, you know, if you're looking for a church on Sunday morning and you ride down the street and you see 20, 30 cars at this church, and there's another church where there's 3, more than likely you're going to go to the one with 20 and 30 cars because you feel as if there's something going on there. Yep. It's just like when you click on and you see there's 50 people watching this service. Maybe this is the service I ought to watch.
And people actually interacting, people, you know, giving love to one another. And by the way, and can I say this to our audience out there or people who might watch in the replay? I said it in church today because I'm not afraid. I think we have to be vulnerable no matter how people might perceive us. I'm so grateful for Howard John Wesley, who talked about being tired and worn out earlier in the year and needing to take a mental break. But as much as I am heartened to see those names and to see those comments, it really is heartening for me. It really is encouraging to me. It's not always pastor centric. I think we need to see each other as members.
Absolutely.
I don't mind if you speak to each other. I mean, don't start selling recipes, don't start sharing recipes and talking about what you're about to cook while I'm preaching on the Facebook comments. But when people start tagging each other saying, hey, Sister Sally, and good to see you, Brother Jones, and I hope you're doing well. We all need that interaction because it's the best we have right now. We don't even have smiles and waves right now.
Absolutely. Well, one thing I do, and I give a lot of credit, especially to Pastor Hurd. I see a lot of Pastor Hurd's members, a lot of other ones doing lives and Bible studies and things of that nature. I see
they got a TV network at EMBC. They got the On the Hill network. Every time I turn on, somebody's teaching, but it's awesome because number one,
they're all sharing.
He's equipped people. And they're all on there teaching from their homes. And really, isn't that not a digital model of the early church?
Absolutely.
And they met in various homes. They taught each other. They shared the word. You know, maybe I haven't done the best job of equipping people to be prepared to do that. I've asked them to do it. I have one sister who does summaries of the weekend, doing a great job. Reverend Hall doing a great job. Not always able to get everyone on. I think another part of this is, as scary as the internet can seem, I think more of us need to follow that model that Pastor Hurd has, and I think more of our members, and I'm not knocking my church or your church or anybody, but more of our members need to be willing to show their faces and let their voices be heard. Do little things, approved, of course, at least with some warning, under the guise of the church. I don't want people just starting their own lives talking about, I'm representing Second Baptist.
You know they do it.
I wrote a song about it. Like to hear it, here it go. I mean, we don't want that, but because this is our new reality, this is where we're at. A few months back, when we got ready to make an office move, a major move of moving some of our operations off site and doing some expansion during COVID, I mean, we had our first cyber church meeting where I simultaneously had a group in the sanctuary who were willing to come, mostly my leaders. I had a group on Zoom on a TV I could see, and those that don't do Zoom or that were on our Facebook Live group. And I was balancing that out. I'll probably find a better way to do it next time. But I mean, I'm waiting for our first, and to be honest, it's no different than a regular church meeting because somebody can say something crazy in the comments you got to address.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know? And so, Jeff, let's move on. What does worship look like? What's acceptable worship? Here's a good one. Here's a good one. Does church have to stay shorter?
Say that again.
The church, you know, a lot of us, when we came back to church, we started doing it shorter.
Yeah.
Does it have to stay that way? I've been creeping up, honestly.
Have you?
Yeah.
I honestly like the shorter. I've always liked the shorter. So yeah. I know I will stay short. I mean, you know me. I am a 20, 25 minute, 30-minute preacher. I can deal with one praise song, and whatever announcements got to be made. And I like the shorter services, but I don't think it should be the norm. I think, if your church is a singing production type church, do that. You know what I mean? And I know, once again, with the social distancing and how that stuff goes, I know a lot of people have said they're going to stay shorter. They like the shorter services, but I don't think, we should make other people feel bad if they're going to have longer services. Let it be.
And think about this. We still have gifts in the house that we want to utilize.
Absolutely.
And so when you have gifts in the house that you want to utilize, you want to, you don't want to have a full band and a praise team and well rehearsed and that is, they're only up for 4 or 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Now if we were recording, Daryl says he doesn't like the shorter services. And I think a lot of people, I wouldn't be surprised, because you forget, this is not just church time. It feels like family time sometimes. It feels like we had to do our first announcement in 6 months in our church. And I was like, I was so used to not doing an announcement. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. This guy has something to say. I'm so used to, just flowing through it now. But I think some people are getting weary of the production style of church. And remember, if you're recording, you can edit, you can cut, you can do all that. Mm-hmm. But if you are a live streaming service, people still got to walk to the mic. The song still has to start. The pastor's still making some remarks, which, by the way, it needs to happen.
It has to.
When we were doing our recordings back in April and May and all of that, and in March, it made sense to sing the song and just say, this is my text, welcome, here we go. But now I'm still seeing some people, and and I want to praise God for that person I'm seeing, that sister who had a birthday. I want to say something. Now I'm measuring how I say it, and y'all all know I'm talking about voting before I preach every single service. I'm just going to beat y'all down to the ground with voting. It's going to happen.
Right.
But we've managed to keep our services an hour and 15 minutes is our longest services, which is 30 minutes lower, more than 30 minutes lower than what our services were before. And our 2 Saturday and early Sunday morning services are usually about under an hour or under 50 minutes sometimes. So I think we're all gonna stay shorter to a measure. I'm not so sure we all have to stay in production mode short.
Right.
Singing being condensed and cut down obviously makes things shorter, because that has always been what drags out our churches. Come on now. We got to sing the chorus 9 times, break it back up again.
Bring it back. Come on back up. Come on, choir.
Singing the song over again is the Baptist version of a praise break. You know, in the Pentecostal church, you sing the song and you shout. In the Baptist church, you sing the song, get happy, and sing it some more. While somebody's screaming and having a fit in the corner, you know. But we got 2 shouts in, well, 1.5 shouts in today. And it felt good to feel like church again, because we have been so confined to the schedule, and it's wise. Pastor Bowie, you know it. Pastor Hurd, you know it. It's wise to continue. Here's the reason we kept it short. Number one, we didn't want people getting up to the bathroom and doing all this stuff. A lot of people have masks on. Thank you, Pastor Bowie. That's on the comments, because everybody has to wear a mask. Now, Sister Jeanette just said, and I'm going to put your comment up in a second, if the Holy Spirit is in control, what does the amount of time matter? You know, that's an age-old debate. That's an age-old debate. I think Pastor Bowie just answered it. First of all, you have a congregation full of people who have masks on. Let's just be honest. They're still not comfortable. It still is, you know, difficult. Praise God for all of our members, especially many of our elderly ones who are making a go of it. I don't want to torture them.
Right.
And the Holy Spirit being in control does not mean church lasts all day. That was never true. And to me, it's still not true. And I think we turn long church into equating to Holy Ghost church. And I think there's never been a problem with minding your time. I don't think there's a problem with minding your time. If the Holy Ghost wants to step in, I think he'll step in regardless of whether we're minding our time or not. So what's your thoughts on the time limits, Pastor?
Well, I don't have a problem with long services. I don't have a problem with short services. I prefer the short services, but I mean, I think you're completely right. And I think what Pastor Bowie said was absolutely right. Well, you know, I've had people ask me, do you have to wear masks there? And if I do, I'm not coming. There are people who absolutely hate wearing the mask. Yeah. And it's just a reality. So I think you want to be cautious of that. And, you know, like you said, bathrooms, walking around, you know, yeah. Offerings is you know, we have where you just when you come in or when you look
at the door. At the door.
Right. So, you know, communion service, you know, usually first Sunday is has always been a long service for most churches because of communion. So, you know what I mean? I don't know how y'all do it. And I mean, we're still doing it, but you know, and I'm not trying to rush it. I'm not trying to rush communion because I think it's a
sacred,
vital part.
There's nothing wrong with giving things time. Right. And you know what I would say is, and K1 said he likes long church and we used to club all night. That's Jeff. Jeff used to club all night. I didn't club at all. Jeff still I'm joking. Yeah.
I don't club no more. I have a Holy Ghost party. Go ahead.
There's always room. Pastor Hurd says, and thank you, Elder Hurd, for sticking with us. Pastor Hurd says, just as long as it is relevant. And I think that just as long as it is relevant can really be narrowed down, because what COVID has taught us is that there are some things that are okay, but not essential. Mm-hmm. And when you talk about the Holy Ghost moving, the Holy Ghost and the move of the Spirit is usually not the part of church that's been dragging out church.
Right.
Let's be honest.
Right. How long can you shout?
We usually don't. I get tired, Doc. I got 3 good steps.
Now, and y'all know y'all used to call me River Dance.
Yeah, River Dance Stanford.
River Dance can only last about 3 months.
Deacon Brown used to call you River Dance. He was over there doing the Michael Flatley.
You start sweating so much, and you in them suits, boy, it get hot.
Listen, I got 3 good steps. I got my little hop move, jump to the left, jump to the right, double time it.
You got that little running man too.
I got my little running man.
I
got my running man. Got my MC Hammer, and then I'm through. I'm through, man.
So I mean, it doesn't. I mean,
but announcements drag time out. Announcements, the old and my ministers and deacons have caught up with where I want them to be. And it's funny because all of our pastors and ministers and even some members can attest that some of the stuff we have gotten down to doing is stuff we had hoped people would do a long time ago. I used to joke about it. We got a long church. You know that, Jeff. We have a long church. Why, if you're scheduled to pray, would you be sitting in the 19th of the 20th row and then wait till the song is over and we're in dead silence to make the long Undertaker walk to the podium, like you coming down in the WWE entrance? And so everybody has been in their spot, in their place, diligent, and we're using the communion cups,
right?
And we're doing. And by the way, this is stuff most of us bounced around as ideas for a long time. We were talking about cutting out an announcement, cutting out a song, doing things different. The prayer ain't got to be 15 minutes. We were talking about that before COVID. COVID made us do what needed to be done. COVID made us do what needed to be done.
And what I will say, because I don't mind church, 2 hours is good for me. 2 hours to 2 hour service, that's fine. Listen,
but we love church,
right? In these funerals, though, if we don't stop reading
No, we're not reading these resolutions. No.
If we listen, you can.
Whereas
the sermon is 10 minutes, the resolutions is 55.
Sister Carol, God bless her soul. I love her. She loves me. I had to tap her one time because the dude in the front was like the son of the deceased was like, I don't want to hear no more. Cut it off.
And let it be known.
Right. Big Mike said, I'm trying to be home by 1 to watch the game. You ain't got to worry about that now, Big Mike. You ain't got to worry about this season. Check it out now. This season, everybody's going to make the game.
Everybody's going to make the game.
Everybody's making the game. If you don't make the game, if you can't get your Saints out on Facebook to watch that game, first of all, they're going to have their phone on and the game on anyway.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. So we're just going to live with that reality.
They're going to praise and cheer at the same time.
Right. And I can't tell the difference. I don't care. So you're right. I mean, we have done what needs to be done. Here's the rub. A lot of people did the parking lot services. It's going to get cold, man. I ain't going back out there like that, man.
I wasn't going back out there. I wasn't going out there. I mean, it's too much work. It's
a lot of work. Listen, we went out one time and we didn't even take the band outside. They patched into the system from inside and had a camera monitor. Of course, Destry is like doggone, Bill Gates of worship team.
Right.
So, but it still worked, man. And I'm like, I'm about to listen. I'm a little selfish. I'm out here sweating and y'all sitting in y'all car drinking iced tea. Like y'all you better get out your car and run around this parking lot. I am not about to sweat by myself. I'm a little resentful. I need prayer. I'm resentful because y'all make me sweat by myself.
Listen, I've been to a couple of them and I'm like, if y'all don't stop blowing your horns up in here.
Listen, you blow at the end. I told them blow at the end. When I was happy and kicking over the pulpit, now you can blow. Do not blow while I'm trying to talk. All right? Okay. Pastor Bowie said when he first came to Greater Friendship, he cut the resolutions back to only 5. Doc, we doing 2 max now, man. And if I'm one of them, I'm just calling your name.
If the family had a church somewhere else, or they used to belong somewhere else,
I read
those. But it's
a lot. It's a lot. But I'm grateful to see how everyone is trying different things. We are all learning from each other. We're gleaning from each other. We're not going to be able to be outside. In all seriousness, we're not going to be able to be outside unless we're going to have bonfire services. Have barrels.
Yeah, people might get tents and some. But then if you got to get a tent, you might as well go inside the church.
Well, that's why we didn't do our normal tent service. We just did parking lot because you're the same difference. You all up under a tent together.
Right.
And again, the intent is to keep people safe. So I think that there is still remaining to be seen exactly what it will look like, but I'm encouraged by what we have leveled this out to be. I'm grateful that we have been able to see what works and what doesn't work. And I do think that there is a lot of learning still yet to go. So we want everybody to get your rapid fire questions in. If you have a rapid fire question, Pastor Jeff and I are coming to the ending segment of our discussion. Do you have any final thoughts on this subject while they're getting the
I'm kind of upset because COVID messed me. I still ain't had an installation service. I want my Pastor Hurd was supposed to be there. You was supposed all y'all supposed to be there.
My sermon is still ready.
My installation, so I deserve.
You deserve it.
Installation service.
I want you to wear that big flower on your lapel, where the old lady sticks you 9 times trying to put the flower on. All right. I want the charge to the congregation that they ain't gonna follow. And now I want that sermon where you lecture the congregation on how to be good to your pastor.
Yes. All of
Bless
it.
the man of God.
I need it all.
I want all that. I want y'all to make the long walk. I want y'all to make the long walk down the aisle and sit in the little living room setting in the front of the church with a goblet, with goblets of Pepsi in them and a bowl of mints.
Yes,
I want all that.
Yes, sir.
The wine glass of water. Tiffany wants it too.
Who?
Tiffany. I think Lady Tiffany
wanted it. You know Tiffany wanted it. She down to $5,000. She done got her stuff out already.
My sermon is ready, Pastor Jeff. You say the word, and I'm telling you, I don't care if I do it on Zoom.
I'm not doing a Zoom. I want everybody there. I'll wait till COVID is over, but I want everybody there.
Well, listen, I'm gonna warn you right now, man. You have this service, and you have me come preach. I'm gonna act a plumb fool.
Yes, sir. There we go.
I'm gonna act a plumb. This is a religiously incorrect podcast promise. It's been a while since I walked on pews. I'm gonna act. I'm gonna say this whole side of the church move over there because I need to walk here.
Have you ever walked on Second's pews?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've done like the first couple rows. Now, Doc Hearns, he used to have that extra long mic cord. He used to have that 50-foot mic cord. And I knew he had a plan because he had it wrapped up under the pulpit. Next thing I know, I'm like 9 years old, 10 years old. He back there with me. I'm like, what are you doing?
Hey, I've jumped on the front pew, but my legs are to be trying to walk over. I'm going to
Well, listen, when we was at Agape and I was walking on pews and them joints wasn't bolted down, man. They wasn't even... And you can't walk on chairs. That's why I can't get chairs. You can't walk on them joints.
You can't walk on chairs. Don't try it.
You'd be in the hospital. But get your rapid fire questions ready. We are taking your quick questions. I know Big Mike has a question for us.
Listen. Rapid fire is anything you want to ask.
Anything you want. Anything.
It's not just about the subject today. Anything related to church.
Religiously incorrect. The world. Anything that's going on in the world. You know, rest in peace, Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
That's right.
Heartbroken. Rest in peace, Archbishop J. Delano Ellis.
Yes.
Archbishop at the Metropolitan College of Bishops, Joint College of Bishops, I should say, the Metropolitan. Wonderful man of God. I mean, he brought the episcopacy to the Black community, the African American community, taught us how to do it right. Dr.
Diana War.
Yes. Dr. Diana Swope from Akron, Arlington Church of God, another wonderful woman of God. It's been a hard week, man. It's been a tough week. So, Big Mike, let's hit them rapid fire questions. Okay, wait, Tiffany has one. When are we going on vacation? That's why my wife don't be on here because I ain't dealing with this foolishness, Jeff. I know she's right next to you.
She must be upstairs somewhere. Tell her we going on vacation. Never mind. I'll talk to her when we get out.
Thank you.
It's gonna cost something.
We don't need them problems. It's
gonna cost something for you to go on vacation. How about that?
That's a whole nother podcast, Doc. This is a kid-friendly podcast. Big Mike, are you ready? All right, come on, Big Mike. You want to come in?
Bring Mike in.
Big Mike's coming in. This is our producer. This is the behind-the-scenes guy. Big Mike, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. How you guys doing?
I'm doing great now that I see that lovely hoodie on.
Hey. Sometimes, Lord mercy.
What's your question, Mike?
All right. If you could host a dinner party and you can invite 3 people, who would it be, dead or alive? 3 people to this dinner party. Who would you pick and why?
If I can invite 3 people to a dinner party, who would I invite and why?
Dead or alive?
Dead or alive?
Yes.
First of all, if you're looking for a religious answer from me, you're not going to get one because anybody from the Bible would be too much pressure.
I can dig
right? Because if I invited Jesus or Paul or somebody, they start correcting my sermons, talking about how I got it wrong. That ain't even what I was talking about. I would hang with Barack Obama, Martin Luther King, and Prince.
Prince. Wow. I can dig it. I can dig that.
Yeah, man.
Right. Wow. For me, I'm going with Tupac. Always,
Tupac.
I'm bringing Tupac. There's some questions I gotta ask Tupac. I gotta know some things about Tupac.
You want to know who did it? You want to know who shot him?
Obviously, Barack Obama is always going to be one, and I'm probably more militant. I probably would want to deal with Malcolm X.
Yeah, that's what's up. I thought about Malcolm X. My picks was Malcolm X. Probably because, he started off militant, then he kind of switched it up later on. Gandhi, because a lot of people followed his lead with the whole piece.
You got a cricket in there or something?
Mike outside.
Man,
you out there in nature?
And then Dave Chappelle. I think
that's a good one.
Would be a nice mix. You know what I mean?
He's a genius to me, man.
Right, no doubt.
He's a genius to me.
That would be a good dinner party. Yeah.
Yeah. I could dig Malcolm X too, man.
He ain't better than Kevin Hart, so he's just
killing Kevin Hart.
We're gonna leave it like that. We're gonna
killing Kevin Hart.
Kevin Hart is the man.
Get out of here. All right.
Okay, it's like this.
Right. That's the worst comedy ever.
Listen, I'm telling you now.
All right, let's get some more. Come in with some rapid fire questions. Okay, here's a good one. Scott Heater. Thank you, Scott, for being a faithful watcher, a viewer, and a commenter. Should they recast? Let me put this up on here. You want to stay on, Mike?
Yeah, I'll stay on.
Should they recast Black Panther or move on without Chadwick Boseman?
Well, I heard they was let his sister, because in the comic books, his sister actually took over. So I think they're going to do that.
I would be okay with the sister taking over.
I like her. I
don't think they should recast a male lead there. Let that go.
Yeah. I mean, if they're gonna recast it, I mean, I think regardless of and everybody can say what they want to say. Everybody loved dude that was the villain in the last one.
Oh yeah, I mean he was the hero.
Michael B. whatever.
Yeah. Michael B. Jordan. Yeah, Killmonger, Doc. Killmonger. Yeah, I would be fine if they go with the sister. It was Shuri.
Yeah.
And if she goes off in some other direction, just let it go, man. Just do not bring somebody else back. That's like having a new Aunt Viv. You know what I'm saying? The Fresh Prince.
That was the worst recasting ever.
I mean, we're just not gonna do it, man. I mean, how does High Yellow Woman have all these black kids, man? Doesn't even make sense.
The worst recasting ever.
All right. So we got you, Scott. Here's another one. My good friend, Pastor Tatum Osborne from New York. How do you feel about churches using secular terms like WAP as themes? Now, Pastor Osborne, we made a commitment not to do a WAP episode.
Made a whole commitment not to do it.
But here you come.
They wanted to. I said, wait.
But here you come. Now my wife's gonna come downstairs. Shut the computer off. Okay, I am absolutely against using obviously derogatory. I don't like the word secular because there is a lot of secular themes and ideas from Brooklyn. I'm sorry. Okay, let me just put that up because she will let us know. Because if you're from one of the bureaus, you are not just from New York. You got to be from your borough. She's from Brooklyn, and I appreciate that. Thank you, Pastor Tatum. There's a difference between secular and basically sexual or anything that could be considered perverse or derogatory. And so if it were like a movie title that just had a basic theme of some sort, like Wonder Woman, I used Wonder Woman as a theme for Mother's Day last year, the year before. Obviously, there's somewhat a wholesome attachment. When you are going directly after something like WAP,
because we know what it means.
We all do.
Regardless, I don't care how you try to switch it up. We know what it means. It's just something to. I mean, it's almost like using a secular song or a secular beat and putting it to a gospel song. I know that's P-Funk. I know that's George Clinton.
That's all day long. I mean, come on, what you gonna preach? What that mouth do? I mean, is that a sermon title now? Is that a sermon title?
I've heard it.
But I'm saying, just because it gets people's attention does not mean it is beneficial. And like you said, everybody knows what it means. The snickers, the laughs, the viral, and let's be honest, people are doing it on purpose to get attention.
Absolutely.
I don't even think they think they're being relevant. I think they're just trying to get attention.
It's not cute at all.
Yeah. And to me, that's not prudish me. I would like to think, and I think a lot of old schoolers and traditional people are like this. I would like to think that even if I wasn't in the church and wasn't a Christian, it's some stuff y'all ought to stay out of. Y'all Christians just stay out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't even try to,
Yep.
Don't even go there. So I appreciate the question. That's just my opinion. Doesn't have to be anybody else's opinion. I think it's a stretch. I don't think it makes you relevant at all. There are a million ways to talk about what's going on in the world and in our communities and with young people or whatever. You don't have to spell it out like that. Me. And we all know it don't mean worship and praise.
Right.
Right.
I
feel bad for whoever had that on their CD from like 20 years ago. They had like giant WAP, James Hall and WAP. Okay, who else has a question? Who else has a rapid fire for us?
Anybody else? Any other? You got another one, Mike?
This is your job, man.
I only came prepared with one. You know what? I almost came up with two, but I figured people will be chiming in, so I kept mine with one.
We're gonna give you a few more minutes to give us a question. I got a question. Which death has hit you the hardest this past year or so? Which one has been like the most shocking or disconcerting to you?
Kobe got me, man.
Oh man. Oh
yeah.
I was done. I was done. You know I was.
Oh yeah, I know you, Jeff, man. You was about to get on the plane, go do the eulogy.
I'm saying I was at the mall, man. I stopped. I just had to stop and I just sat in the mall for I don't know how long. I couldn't do nothing. I was done. Yeah, Kobe,
yeah.
Definitely, man.
Wow. With Kobe, it really didn't matter if you was a basketball fan or not. I mean, it was Kobe.
Right. And
it was hard.
To make matters worse, to find out his daughter was with him.
Yeah. No, I absolutely. Yeah, it's man, it cuts you to your core.
Yeah.
Even this long after, to think about what that experience must be like. I mean, we ride with our children all the time here and there, and we on these trips and all, and you don't know what danger might be around the corner. Even though we don't have helicopter access, it could still happen any kind of way. Chadwick for me recently was because the year has stunk so bad.
Yeah.
The year has been so terrible that it's like, who else and what else can possibly go wrong? It's like they're about to find a mass grave of puppies or something. Like, it's just like every bad thing that could ever happen is happening. So I felt like, and then my kids, like, they were oblivious. Like I didn't tell them.
Right.
Like, I don't know if they even know now. I think they think that Black Panther died.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they get that the man,
I actually had a talk with my son. I think it was a good talk, just to talk about death in and of itself.
Right. That is good.
No, you know what I mean? That things happen that, you know what I mean? Although he played a superhero, he dealt with some things in life. And I think, all of us do, even us as pastors, we can preach the house down and talk about, things and, encourage others while yet and still going through some things ourselves at our own houses. And, you know, whether it be depression, you know, dealing with psychological issues, whatever it is. So I think, you know, I think it was a good, and I think we sat around, we talked about it for about 20 minutes to half an hour.
Yeah. Pastor Bowie mentioned I've had some hard membership deaths this year. I concur. Every funeral that I've done has been extra hard because of the caliber of people and the circumstances surrounding how we had to manage. And there are some people who I feel COVID cheated out of proper respect.
Wow.
And love to that family.
Absolutely.
That was a heartbreaking part of one of our most faithful older deacons being laid to rest. One of our faithful older deaconess emeritus being laid to rest. That, you know, we still came in good number, but, you know, I feel for any person of any respect who has, you hate to say it, but if anybody deserves a full church, this brother or sister does. Absolutely. If anybody deserves to have all the tributes you can have, the extra musicals, and we were joking before. You know, it's so sad, Jeff, and I got to admit it, we were joking about how people were so extra. You know, we shouting at weddings, and
right.
We had an episode that never aired when I was cracking on people who shout at weddings. We never aired that episode in February. I think something happened and we never aired it. And I was just cracking on like, huh?
Wasn't that the practice run, or was that?
No, it wasn't the practice run. It was like the last of our love and marriage series.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was going in on people like, it's getting too much now. And we talked about the funerals with the resolutions. We've talked about, you know, the funeral musicals. People are doing extra tributes. Everybody gets like a week-long, 9-hour Aretha Franklin funeral now. And you know what? I admit that we didn't realize what happens when it's all taken away. As extra as it was, when it's all gone, you're dying to get into one of these unnecessary services. You're dying to sit in the church for 3 hours. You're dying to go to a musical that, you know it's going to start at 6, but it really starts at 7. Then you're there till 11 o'clock at night. That's all gone, but it's a part of our culture. I got one more question. Go ahead, Mike.
Let's take Tatum Osborne's question and then wrap it up.
Okay, Pastor Osborne, another great,
good
one. If there's one church besides your own that you had the opportunity to preach in, which would it be? Man, that's a good one. I'll give the obvious answer. Pastor Osborne, I preach at Dad's church. And I did get the chance to do a sermonette, and Pastor Kevin did an excellent job, I think the same week. We both got a chance to preach. Pastor Kevin Osborne, and doing the sermonette, the devotional message during Berean. And I think that way now. And if you asked me 2-3 years ago, of course, I give the mega church answer that this. Now I'm all about personally the loving atmosphere. People I know love me and I love them. I don't feel like a stranger. I'm not there to impress anybody. And of course, every preacher has an ego. They love to be on that big stage. They love to preach at Potter's house. They love to do, I can't say I want to do Joel Osteen because I don't know if that organist can keep up with me. I want to be somewhere where we can church it, but at the same time, now I'm all about love and affirmation. That's just me. Absolutely. And there are very few places where I feel like outside of my own city, where a lot of people who I love in Warren and Youngstown, I can go to Pop Simon's church, I can go to Pastor Bowie's, Herds, me and Jeff tossed it outside of this area, and the people I've been to already. That would be that would be the place.
For me, I think, like you said, we've been to most of these. I've preached at most of the churches in this area that I would have loved to have preached at. I thank God for every invitation. I thank God for the invitation I got to my brother Sylvester Patton's church up in Lord, where's the church at?
Texas.
Yeah, up in Texas. I mean, huge, beautiful church, and I'll thank God for that invitation. It was wonderful. But I think the only person's church I would want to preach at, and only because I idolize, and that might be a strong word, but I idolize him, I love him, would be Freddie Haynes. I love the atmosphere at church. I love I love the way he preaches. That's my guy. That's my guy. So
yeah,
I love to. If I don't even got to preach, I just want to go there and meet him. So
yeah, absolutely, man. I concur. And again, it's you're hopefully as you mature, your priorities shift when it comes to preaching opportunities and things like that. You don't know what platforms you'll ever be afforded, but you thank God for every one of them.
absolutely.
But now, in my experience at First Church was, being treated like family and love. And whoever the big name guy who Bishop brought in, they loved you and supported you as much as they did that guy.
Absolutely.
And they knew you was going back to Warren when you got done. Like you go back to Warren to take out the trash and sweep the floor in your church. But for one night, you're the most important person in the world. So listen, we have had a ball coming back to you all. Thank you all for joining us. We want you to continue to support the Religiously Incorrect project, the podcast, by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, subscribe on YouTube. Look out for us. Our audio is being uploaded to our RSS feed. So that means it's coming up on all of your favorite podcast channels, audio podcasts. We're getting back in the groove. Please invite somebody to join us, to tap in. Pastor Jeff and I, we just love to shoot the breeze as pastors who love people, love God, but we're also real people. And we love doing that. Anything you want to leave them with, Pastor, before we go?
I know that my wife last night told me to buy a couple T-shirts and to give them out to those to the viewers.
We need to do that soon.
So I'm going to do that.
You're doing that, right? You're buying them.
I'll buy them. I'll buy them. I got to get with Big L. Big L.
I have the bootleg T-shirts in the parking lot where the show is spelled wrong. I had the bootlegs at the flea market.
It's all good. But so be on the lookout for that. But like you said, please continue to share, follow all our Instagram, Facebook, all of it. We gonna be here. We took a couple weeks off, but we back. So
listen, if y'all have a subject you'd like us to talk about, put it in the comments. Let us know. Text one of us if you know us. Inbox us. We're always looking for new topics to tackle. And we got some heaters coming up. We got some great stuff coming up. Can't wait to share it. Mike, what you want to say before I hit this beat and start dancing?
Hey, big shout out to my cousin Bianca Love, watching from Alabama. Love you, cuz.
Thank you.
And pray for her. She just had 3 beautiful triplets.
Wow.
So please,
You get a triple blessing.
Your Mike, you babysitting, Mike?
No, I'm too old for that. Love him to death. Oh man.
Listen,
hey, and shout out to your daughter, Mike. Didn't she graduate this year?
She's a senior this year. Yes, sir.
All right.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
I saw her at the homecoming. Everything looked beautiful. You ain't taking no shotguns up there, did you?
Nah, not this year. Not this year.
He knew the deal. He knew the deal already.
Too, though, so that don't scare them no more. They got guns too. What I'm gonna do?
Right. Don't lose your life, Doc. Hey, it's been a blast. Y'all take care. We'll see you next time. Here go the outro.
Peace,